I'm here to show you how to be free, especially if you have a brain that doesn't want to be, but you know indefinitely that you are here and made for more and you're determined to find it. I'm Emma Upton and I'm here to show you how changing your thoughts literally means changing your life. So let's dive into today's episode. Today's episode is me sharing why I get to choose out of this overthinking, mental list making torture that I existed in for a good 30 years of my life. I have learned how choosing my thoughts literally equals creating my reality. Now, changing our thoughts through thoughts alone is a futile attempt. And a lot of the time, it's what so many of us, when we realize that we're made for more and we want to go about seeking it and bringing it into actuality, we try and change our thoughts with our thoughts. But that is literally like passing fog. It's so frustrated, especially when you know in your heart you have this drive and desire here for more. What I want to do in today's episode is show you how I address my thoughts, especially these overthinking thoughts that get in the way of us actualizing the more that we're here to create. 38, where I'm going to show you how you get to be done going to bed every night and watching the mental slideshow of all the funked upness and the worst choices that you've made today or last week, or sometimes they go back really far, don't they? I'm going to show you how to do it. Before I can show you that, I have the techniques, I have the strategy, I have literally transformed my life and work with people from all over the world to enable them to do the same in ways that I can't mentally comprehend, like how you, like the magic that they're making. But the first step that is necessary for everybody, no matter what your more is, no matter what you're here to deliver to the world, the first step in being able to actualize that is realizing that that routine is a royal rumble of a funk up. Like, and that Francis part of your brain, the beast inside your brain is going, obviously, like, I don't want to be doing it. But really, like, land in this, being like, oh, yeah, that's a lot when I get in bed and that goes off. Like, it would be really cool. It would genuinely not just, oh, yeah, it'd be nice if I didn't do it and then go to bed and do it. It's like, be here in this moment and saying, I don't want to do that anymore. Now, I get that I have done that for a good chunk of my life, so just being switching it off doesn't feel like it's available to me right now, but this is the first one we're looking at this. This is our entry level access point. By the end of this podcast, what I want for you is that you are leaving this space being like, my brain is open, it is receptive. When I go to bed tonight, I'm ready. I'm going to be ready because I refuse to allow this to happen. What we're doing together is creating what I love to call an entry level access point. What traditional talk therapies and that kind they try and use the thoughts to battle the thoughts, but then you just end up in this thought war, and the brain loves nothing more than fighting against you. And it will always win. My brain will always win. It's lit. The reason I do this work and I do it so well is because my brain is lit. It always wants to go at me. It always wants to fight. It always wants a battle. And I've had to learn that I don't win. Like ever. But I create entry level access points where I'm like, look, brain, I know you're big and strong and like I've got no chance, just little old me. But how about we could go a different way about this? And the brain is like, I don't want to, but I'm kind of listening. Like this gentle approach of like, I'm just gonna see in a different way. You're tempting me, and that's what we want. So what is this overthinking? This overthinking is when, for me, it would always be when I would get into bed and I'd be like, did I send the email? Did I check that the lights were off? Did I leave my hair straighteners on? What day is it tomorrow? What does that mean? Who's where? Is my husband here? Is he away? Have I packed the lunches? Have we got stuff for the lunches? Is there cereal in the morning? Like, what time do I need to get up? What after school activity is there? Do I need to prepare anything for that? Like, add the business into that. When you know you're here for more and you're actively taking the steps to do more, like, did I send the email? Did I get the invoice? Did I get my taxes right? Like, oh my God, Bob, I'm going to introduce you to Bob. Bob loves that kind of thing. Like, did you do your taxes? Oh, you're gonna be a plain jet. It's just relentless. And that's just that day, isn't it? That's just the day that's gone and the day that's coming. And Bob's like actively trying to figure all this. He's on our side. He wants to do us a solid. He's like, let's let's have a good think about all this stuff and figure it out. And then you're shattered, but you're lying there like this because the mental load of it all. And then that neurology starts going and starts creating chemicals inside you that match those thoughts. Oh, we're stressed out and we're overwhelmed and there's no time and there's this rush all of the time. There's too much to do. There's never enough time. The chemistry that's going to be created in your body circling around those thoughts are fight and flight chemicals, aren't they? It's dopamine, not dopamine, it's adrenaline, it's cortisol. It's like, let's go, we've got all this stuff to be thinking about. And then we're in that, we've got that chemistry going on, and the brain is like, oh, this feels like it's got to be somewhat worse. And then your brain starts tracking back and thinking about all the stuff that you should have done differently back then. And then you start going through these scenarios of how you could handle it better and what could have been different. Then you start projecting to the future, like, oh my God, what if I have got my taxes wrong? It's a lot. Now, having such an intense brain is one of our gifts. I've realized that I think there was an interview that Cher did when the interviewer said, what's the worst thing about you? And she was like, my brain. She was like, what's the best thing about you? She was like, my brain. So if you can resonate with those kind of tendencies, you're here for something really profound. Let me just tell you that. But it's getting a handle on like where we can, that's a lot of energy, isn't it? When you think about the narwhal effect and you think about that energy coming out of you, that's a lot of energy getting lost before it's able to just come out of your crown and be applied directly to your moreness, wherever you choose to put that. So we need to see it. At the beginning, I said you've got to want to see it and you've got to want to make it different. And then your brain's like, yeah, but my brain's lit. It's a lot. Well, my brain's lit and it's a lot, and this works really, really well for me. So that's why I'm sharing it here. So let's get excited together. I want to introduce to you. So before I introduce him, build the suspense. My brain isn't regular. Like if you can relate to all that dotting around, like your brain's not regular in the best ways. And until we can see those thought patterns objectively and we can move ourselves outside of them, because they happen internally for so long, and sometimes it takes for somebody else, like you listening to this podcast here today, be like, oh my God, that happens in my life, that happens in my brain, you too, like that kind of awareness. Now we want to embellish on that. We want to, every time you can see yourself in that overthinking pattern, we want to be able to zoom in and be like, there I go again. Not I go, there it goes again. You're the passive conscious observer of all of that going on. And the way that I found to be really helpful, because thought with thought doesn't work, platting fog, is to create these characters. So what you can see on the wall behind me are the stars of my book. Well, they're the stars of my work. They're the stars of my book. You can get the book on Amazon as a Kindle version for £1. And then this is the hard copy of the book. Or you can send me, if there's something that stands out, send me a DM and I'm sure I can get something over to you that will be supportive. This is like Alice in Wonderland for the brain. When we can identify different parts of the psyche and we can give it a name and we can see it objectively, we are then free to step more into that conscious observer position, rather than thinking that we're our thoughts, thinking that we are just at the mercy of our triggers, thinking that we're at the mercy of the fiend inside our mind. We can step back and be like, oh, all of this thinking, and I brought him down here, this is Bob. He's a monkey inside my brain. And he thinks he's doing me a solid because these overthinking patterns have been passed down to me through generations, is the most likely story. Through mom, through maybe their dad gets thrown in there along the way, through all of these bloodlines until it's made it to you. It's also part of our primitive brain and primitive conditioning. So we've always got to remember that. But ultimately, we can take charge of this monkey. Like, look how cute he is. He doesn't get to determine and dictate our lives and our existence if we decide we want to see him. So my challenge to you, and this is like base camp, so let me know if you're hungry for more, because I have more on Bob. I have so much on Bob. My Bob is loud. Is your job is to notice Bob. So when you get into bed, if bed or the shower, wherever it is that you land and you're like, my brain literally won't stop. And every time I have a thought, then I think of another thought that's linked to that because the neurology is literally so hardwired and linked up. The thoughts will be happening without you even knowing it. In the book, I describe him as like this swinging through the trees of thoughts, and it's just effortless for him to grab branch after branch, thought after thought. Your job is to notice him and name him. And if you have a partner and you're lying in bed, just be like, oh, Bob. Oh, Bob. Your partner's going to be like, who's Bob? But that's okay. You can give some context or not. Notice him and call him out. What these characters that I have created inside the mind, what they hate more than anything is being seen. They like to go under the radar. They like to go undercover. They like to go in the shadows of everything. And what this work is bringing them to the surface and being like, Bob, you know that email that was a bit stroppy to Sandra and she took it a bit wrong and it all just escalated and I ended up in the in the office being awful. But like, that's you making me go back there and relive that experience and thus creating the chemicals inside my body to match those thoughts, because my brain does not know what's real and what's imagined. It's the same experience. So how about I say hi to you? Don't try and stop him, especially not if this is your like debut with Bob. Yep, we'll get to that. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi from Emma as well. So like Emma says hi. I hate her. She's got my number. Say hi. Be like, I know we've thought these ways for a while, but let me tell you something. I'm on to you. And that's it. Now, if you're like, okay, I'm starting to see Bob, I'm starting to see him, I'm noticing him, and he likes it when I'm in the car, or he likes it when a certain kind of song comes on, or he likes it when I'm just getting into bed, or I'm just waking up in the morning. I used to wake up and have like an instant panic attack. What's the day? What does it mean? And Bob, from the moment I get up, he's like, I'm here and I'll lead. It's like, no, thank you. Notice him. And if you're getting good at noticing him, do this. This breath saved my life. And that sounds dramatic, but it's not. When I was at the beginning of this work and I didn't know what meditation was and I couldn't have sat with my brain for more than 30 seconds, this breath was my in. So when we get to the Saturday sitting stuff and the alpaca brainwaves, we're a lot more into this. But for right now, when you notice Bob, breathe in as deep as you can and then go in again and then go really far out of your mouth, like purse your lips and push it out. What you're doing is you're taking your response out of your sympathetic nervous system and you're coming in to a resting state. You're coming into your parasympathetic nervous system and you're saying, we're good. Like, I'm literally like, there is no need for me to be waking up and having a panic attack. And you go again. Notice Bob. And thank you, Bob. Thanks, but no thanks. It's a hard no from me. When we are able to do this, and we are able to do this more and more regularly, we interrupt Bob. And what we're doing is we're breaking and snapping those neurological loops that I use a metaphor of branches. We're breaking them up, being like, that's not helpful for me anymore. The brain, neuroplasticity is a thing. They didn't think it was for a long time. They thought the brain was the only part of you that didn't change, which is weird to me. But neuroplasticity is a thing. The brain can tangibly rewire. I would have loved to have had a brain scan of me at the beginning of this journey. And now, it must be night and day, because I've literally changed the neurology. And so much of it has come from so many different tools that I take you through in more in depth with my work, but I will be continuing to take you through here in whichever guises I feel inspired to. You can change the neurology of your brain. And when you change the neurology of your brain, it changes the chemical messages it sends to your body. And the chemical messages feel so much nicer inside your body, which then creates more positive thoughts, less anxious thoughts. And this whole cycle works the same way as you created the anxiety, but in the polar opposite way, a way nicer way. So the next time you're on the lookout for Bob, and you can see him being an absolute, then I hope that will be a really helpful tool for you. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know what your takeaways were, what you've enjoyed the most. And always remember, the power you have of your own mind is the power you get to have over your entire life. Thank you for being here. Much love.